Howdy folks, welcome back to Duke Fraser Productions. In today's video, we're going to be putting the Johnson and Dow bullets from Air's Gone bullet molds against the round balls in a chronograph test to see how they perform. Stay tuned.
Spinning it. That black powder smoke don't taste so good.
Alright folks, as we said in today's video, we're going to be testing the Johnson and Dows and comparing it to the 4.54 round ball. And very recently I've added a chronograph to the channel, which is going to allow us to do more elaborate tests on bullets and guns and such. And this will be the first video that has that. So the Johnson and Dow bullet that we're going to be testing comes from Air's Gone bullet molds. They sell the molds for these particular bullets, and it's a copy of the 44 caliber Civil War era cartridge that was used. A lot of Colts used them, Remingtons, so on and so forth. And the service charge for those was 25 grains of black powder. Now in the testing, we did not use the 25 grains. We used 22 grains. The reason why we use 22 grains is due to the fact that I use a felt lubricated wad underneath the bullet, and when you put that wad in, that begins to decrease how much powder you can use. Because unlike with a cartridge gun, with smokeless powder anyway, when you start shooting black powder, there's only so much room you have that you can get with powder and get your projectile in there and kind of even out. So I found that with the felt wad, the load that I use with it, 22 grains, works best, and it's not real far off from the 25 grain load that's standard. Now for the 4.54 round ball, we used a full 30 grains of GoX. That seems to be the pretty well standard charge that I've seen in a lot of places. I've read where some of them got up to 35, but to me that's just a little bit much to be putting through the gun. So we used the 30 grain charge. And the results were a little bit interesting. Not real surprising, but interesting. So without further ado, let's go over to the range and we'll see how it does.
Alright folks, so we're out here at the range. We got the chronograph set up. I've got target camera focused on it. And we're going to see what these round balls will do for velocity. I didn't bring a writing utensil or any paper down, so hopefully this target camera will record that. And I'll read them off here so you can hear it. And we'll see how this thing does. Now I'm set up about 5 paces in front of me. The reason why I'm so close is that with this high shooting cap and ball revolver, that's what I feel safe at and not hit my chronograph. So we'll see what this does here at this closer range. .680. And I hit a rock back there, so I'm going to try to aim off to the side of that so I don't hit that again. 719. 688. 689. Error. Okay, so we got 4 readings. Last one was an error. I forgot to tell you, the load with this was 30 grains of 3F GoX black powder. It was a 4.54 round ball with my homemade felt lubricated wad, Remington number 10 cap. So what I'll do is I'll reload this, and this time we'll use the Johnson and Dows because that's what we're here for, is to test to see how they compare to the round balls. So let me get this thing loaded back up and we'll try those. All right, so this time we got the Johnson and Dows loaded up in here, and we're using 22 grains of 3FG GoX black powder, felt lubricated wad, and the Air's Gone bullet. And we'll see what it does, how fast it's going here through the chronograph. .466. 462, and about took the top out of my chronograph. Error 3. It said 462 before it went to error, so. 559. 424. So these are a little bit slower than the round balls, which is understandable because there's a little bit less powder pushing these things. They're a little heavier, so they are going to go slower. But we'll go back to the Hacienda and we'll crunch these numbers and see what kind of information we can come up with.
All right, so as we've seen, the round ball does outperform the Johnson and Dow with regards to velocity. I highly expected that because you're pushing a bullet that's just about 75 grains heavier than the round ball, and you've got less powder to do it with. So I did expect the Johnson and Dow to go much slower. However, I expected with its weight to have a little bit more energy behind it. That was not the case on this, and we'll put a screenshot of the results up here. But with the 4.54 round ball, we had one error reading. For some reason, when we was doing these 44s, I kept getting an error, and I think what that was is the wad from the gun when it was fired was going through the chronograph and messing up the reading. But anyway, off of the 4 readings that we got for the round ball, we had an average velocity of 694 feet per second, and this is with GoX3FG, 30 grains GoX3FG. We had a standard deviation of 17.15, rounded up there. The minimum velocity was 680 feet per second, maximum was 719, so that left us with a spread of 39 feet per second. That's not terrible. And the energy, and I calculated this up on several different sites here on the internet, and all of them agreed with my calculation. The energy at that distance we was shooting at, which the chronograph was about 15 feet in front of us, the energy was 151 foot-pounds. Now when we go over to the Johnson and Dow, we do reduce the velocity as I expected it to do, and as you saw it did. Excuse me. So we had an error on the 3rd round. So again, we only had 4 readings. But the average velocity was 478 feet per second with a standard deviation of 57.38. Again, I'm rounding on that number. Minimum was 424 feet per second, maximum 559 feet per second. And the spread on that was 135 feet per second. So that's quite a bit of spread on that one. And that one round I might have had just a little bit more powder. I'm not sure what happened on that. We just had a little bit higher velocity. And then the energy on this thing, I was really surprised. The energy was only 110 foot-pounds. So the round ball has a little bit more energy than the Johnson and Dow, which, like I said, I was a little surprised by. But when you think about it, you had the charge is greatly reduced on this. Heavier bullets going slower. You know, it's pretty self-explanatory there. So what was the difference between these two? And what it comes out to is that the average velocity, the difference was 216 feet per second. And the energy, the difference was 41 foot-pounds. So the round ball has about 40 foot-pounds of energy, more foot-pounds of energy than the Johnson and Dow does. All right, folks, that's going to take care of it today for our little comparison of the Johnson and Dow to the round ball. If you liked what you've seen on the channel thus far, be sure to hit that subscribe button down there below. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Patreon, and Instagram. Links to all those are down there in the description. And remember, stay tuned and keep your powder dry.